Hi, my name is Ashley Sosa, and I am a student at Texas Tech University, and I will be talking about parts of the eye, their functions, and eye diseases. And here is my presentation. In the first slide, I am showing you a picture of the anterior chamber of the eye. And over the next few slides, I will discuss parts of the anterior chamber of the eye. In this slide, it is talking about the sclera. It is thick and wide and is made of fibrous materials and is the outermost covering of the eyeball. It protects the inner, more delicate structures of the eye, and it also is an anchor point for the extraocular muscles, which act as pulleys. And in the next slide I will be focusing on the iris. And it is a muscle that controls how much light enters the eye. It is the extension of the ciliary body and is suspended between the cornea and the lens. It is the color portion that surrounds the pupil, and it adjusts the opening sides of the pupil according to the brightness of the light by constricting or dilating the pupil. And in this photo, it is the blue-green part. And in the next slide is the pupil. It is the dark circle in the center of the iris. It is a hole that lets light through. And the next slide is the crystalline lens. It is located near the front of the eye behind the pupil. It is a clear, flexible structure that makes an image on the eye's retina. The lens can change shape by focusing on objects that are close or near, which is called accommodation. It bends the light. And in the next slide is the cornea. The cornea is a tough, clear cover over the iris and the pupil. It is the only transparent tissue in the body. It provides major refraction of the eye that allows bending of the light to make an image. It gets nourishment and oxygen through the aqueous and tears. And the next slide is the conjunctiva. It is a clear layer of tissue that sits on the white part of the eye that protects the eye and provides the surface underneath the eyelid and forms the back of the eyelid. And in the next slide is the ciliary body. It is a muscular structure that controls the focusing of the eye by pulling on the lens to change shape, by contracting or relaxing it, and secreting the aqueous fluid. It is attached to the iris. And the next slide is the suspensory ligaments. They are long, thin fibers which connect the crystalline lens to the ring of the ciliary muscles, which loosen or tighten based on the ciliary body contracting or relaxing the lens. And in this photo, they are the gray finger-like figures that are attached to the ciliary muscle. And in the next slide is the aqueous humor. It is a clear fluid that is produced in the ciliary body that fills the anterior chamber of the eye and provides some of the nutrition of the surrounding parts and helps the cornea keep its shape. The fluid is constantly being produced and drained out, and it nourishes the cornea, lens, and iris to maintain ocular pressure. It flows around the lens and into the pupil. And also in this photo, I'll talk about the canal of Schlemm. And it is the circular chamber in the corner of the eye that collects and removes the aqueous fluid from the anterior chamber and delivers it into the bloodstream via the anterior ciliary vein. And in this diagram, you can see how the aqueous comes in and out and nourishes the eye and drains out of the canal of Schlemm. And in the next slide I will discuss the ora serrata. It is the serrated junction between the retina and the ciliary body, where the retina comes forward to meet the portion of the vascular tunic, leaving the ciliary body. The transition goes from the simple non-photosensitive area of the retina to the complex multi-layer photosensitive region. You'll see in this slide it is the gray serrated edge in the photo. And in the next slide is the vitreous humor. It is a thick, clear jelly that helps give the eyeball its shape. It fills the vitreous chamber of the eye, and it is composed of 2/3 of the volume and the weight of the eye. As you see in the slide, it is the big blue area. And in the next slide, it shows pictures of the posterior chamber in the back, and I will be discussing those areas next. And in the posterior chamber, there is the retina. It is in the inner lining in the back chamber of the eye, which contains a layer of nerve cells that gives eye sensitivity to light. It detects images focused by the cornea and the lens, and it is connected to the brain by the optic nerve. It is the most delicate. It has photoreceptors that contain rods and cones. Cones give detailed vision, and colored rods provide night vision and global movement. And the next slide is the choroid. It is a layer between the retina and the sclera. It consists primarily of blood vessels and carries blood supply for the eye. It also supplies oxygen and blood to the outer layers of the retina. And the next slide is the macula. It is a circular area that is the central part of vision and is hyperpigmented. It is a brownish spot that is good for color vision, and more cones are located there than on rods. In this photo, it is the circular area in the photo, the bigger circular area. And in the next slide, I'll be talking about the fova centralis. It is a small, thin-out yellow spot in the area of the retina in the center of the macula, consisting mostly of cone photoreceptor cells in the posterior chamber of the eye. It provides the best visual acuity and focus for central vision. It is the small circular area in this photo. The next part of the eye is the optic nerve. It is a bundle of nerve fibers that carries vision-related impulses from the retina to the brain. It funnels all the information from the retina and sends it into the optical cortex. Rods and cones transmit stimulus to the optic nerve, and it is the lighted portion in the photo. On the next one is the optic disc, and it is a white spot at the back of the eye where the optic nerve leaves the retina and the eye. No photoreceptors are present in this part of the eye, and light focused on that area will not stimulate vision. Hence, it's called the blind spot. On the next slides, I'll be talking about eye diseases, and one of the first ones that I'm going to be talking about is cataracts. And cataracts could be congenital, but they are very common with older people. And in this photo, you will see on the left side is the normal eye, and on the right side, there is a cataract, and it affects the lens. And the cataract is a cloudy area located around the crystalline lens, and it is described as looking through a dirty window. As the lens gets dirty and where it's located determines how visual acuity will be affected. It obstructs the light passing through, and because of that, there could be a problem with light scatter. From an educational standpoint, students may need magnification, hard copies of information, lights that help reduce glare. Teachers should not stand in front of the light source, avoid direct illumination, and the use of high contrast materials. And then the next slide, I will be talking about macular degeneration. And on the left side, you will see a normal macula, and on the right side, you will see the little spots that show that it is deteriorating. And it affects the macula. It compromises central vision, and how much compromise depends on the severity and progression of the condition. It also can affect juveniles, but usually their visual acuity is usually 20 to 200, and it's stabilized, but most people is for older people, and it's very prevalent among them, and is a leading cause of visual impairments. And the risk factors are smoking, genetics, and poor diet, and leafy green vegetables. People with this have the tendency to have good peripheral vision. They can move easily, but have trouble reading a menu or signing a paper. From an educational standpoint, they need to diffuse lights, use high contrast materials, preferential seating, hard copies, and enlarging materials. Also, they may need eccentric view training where with practice time and effort they can improve their visual function. And the next disease I will be talking about is diabetic retinopathy, and it affects the retina, and it is basically the deterioration of small blood vessels of the retina, where the retina is losing nourishment at the retinal tissue and can cause hemorrhages. And it usually affects people with diabetes, juvenile and adults, and the onset is usually 20 years after. From an educational standpoint, they will need optical aids, increased illumination, reducing the glare, and helping diet. And the last one, that is the end of my presentation. I want to say thank you.